Morning. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you coming to learn about my company and kind of what we're doing. You're probably thinking, great, another photography company. Wonderful. How has he reinvented the wheel, right? So essentially, let me switch this. Let me keep my, there we are. Nall imaging, let's just call this version 4.0, okay? Because technology, what we do is not just photography, but we're in the technology realm, obviously with photography because of digital photography. And ever since that really became available in about 2005, which is actually coincidentally when I started, I was classically trained by the #1 portrait photographer in the United States, the #1 sales portrait, sales portrait person in the United States. And then I also went to school at the Art Institute for Photography and Graphic Design. So this is kind of just tantalizing. This is that shot was actually from Cabaret this year. That was one of the desserts. So if you've never been to UW's Cabaret, go there. They have that kind of food. It's phenomenal. So what we do is photography, design, social media, and we also are expanding into education. I've been doing education for a long time, teaching people how to use their camera. However, I never really gotten paid for it. So starting in August, it's going to be, we're going to actually start a class, up to 10 people. We're going to teach people, and then actually our first classes are going to be called Mastering the Kit. So that's going to be the education series, which if you walk into Best Buy or Sharp or Amazon, on there, you're probably not just going to buy a camera body with a DSLR. You're probably going to get a camera, a lens, or 2 lenses, and a few other accessories that go with it. But to be able to teach the soccer mom, if you will, and dad and aunts and uncles how to use that, because typically they'll purchase it and they just leave it there. They take pictures with it, but they're like, I can't get the good stuff. So teaching people how to use that. So if there was an elevator pitch for it really quick, this is what it would be. We are a photography-based multimedia company that provides highly dynamic imaging and design solutions so your company makes more money. This presentation is more geared toward the business, just because on a consumer level, we do everything. However, there's not a lot of people that actually reach out to photography companies for marketing, for business, for social media, for kind of everything across the board. And a lot of times they don't think about it until yesterday. They need something yesterday. So this presentation is going to kind of address those topics. Yes, we do weddings. Yes, we do portraits. That's where everything started. But I guess for this application, I figured this would be best. So the problem, what are we trying to address? Like I said, just a photography company, great. So this is actually a shot from the Eau Claire that I had over the weekend. Iphoneography, if you've ever talked to a photographer and they say they don't have any competition, they're fooling themselves, because smartphones, everybody has a smartphone in here, I'm assuming, and everybody takes pictures with it. And that is the biggest competition for any photographer globally. It doesn't matter what you're talking about, what kind of photography it is. So we're talking about menus. If you've ever walked in, you're hungry, you want to sit down. I'm sure Nick can really attest to this. Photography on a menu is super, super important. There's a few restaurants in town, unfortunately, that looks like they're blurry, and you're like, oh, I'm hungry. I don't have an appetite anymore after you look at whatever they have in the picture. And you're trying to actually discern, then you're reading the caption and you're reading the menu versus looking at the picture because you don't even know what that is on the plate. So that's one of the challenges. Social media, when we're going back and forth, I do a lot of social media for different companies, and the image has been the differentiating factor in engagement exclusively. It's been incredible, the difference in what we're seeing on engagement and likes, shares, comments, things like that. Real estate, if you've ever gotten into real estate or sell real estate or wanted to buy something, are you going to want to buy something that doesn't look good? Typically, if you have 3 to 5 shots on a real estate shoot, they're really good. it'll sell the property. And as I'm not a real estate agent, but speaking with several of them, it every day costs more money that it sits there. So the better the image, the better, the easier it's going to be to sell that property. Senior portraits, now kind of getting out of the commercial spectrum. Senior portraits, for some reason, obviously, if you have a cell phone or a smartphone that has been developed in the last 2 years, the quality of the camera is probably really good. So the problem, however, comes when people want to go print their senior pictures. So maybe they do it, whether it's a money issue, whether it's just time, whether it's, well, yeah, I just have this phone, so we'll just take pictures. Then it might become an issue in the long run when you're trying to work with the yearbook, with the school, with different outlets that need that image. So it's extremely challenging. But Iphoneography is definitely one of the problems that we address with being able to do professional, whether it's portraiture or anything on the commercial side. Everyone has a camera. So as I mentioned before, in 2005, we came into the Canon Rebel XT. I don't know if anybody remembers this camera. It was an $800 consumer camera that was almost professional grade. Pros were throwing fits, but anybody could buy one. And I shouldn't say anybody, but it was consumer readily available. It wasn't $3,000. So since that point, everything has been dropping. You can go right now and you can go online on Amazon. You can buy a DSLR with multiple lenses for $300. So what happens? Oh, that's insanely small. Sorry. So what happens? People shoot weddings. Their cousin has one, so they can go ahead and, yeah, my cousin's got a camera. They'll take the pictures, whatever those pictures might be. There's no post process, so my post process takes probably twice as long as actually taking the pictures themselves. So if you're looking at Lightroom, if you're looking at Photoshop, whatever you're using is your post processing software, and then you're looking at a $50 wedding photographer, portrait photographer, whatever that looks like. It's honestly devaluing the entire spectrum of photography across the world. It's not just because everybody can have a camera. So people will buy a camera, they'll print business cards, and they'll say I'm a photographer now, and they'll offer $50 for your wedding that I would typically charge $2,500 for, but the outcomes are totally different. So when I speak with brides and grooms, it's amazing at the difference when I tell them, don't just shop with me, shop with other photographers. Make sure you tell them to bring pictures in, like actual physical hard copies, wallets, 3x5s, 4x6s, 8x10s, 11x14s, 16x20s, so you can actually see what they look like on paper, because a lot of photographers shoot for screen. So even when you guys are hiring people, ask, what kind of resolution are these? Do I get high resolution? Some in the fine print, they won't have that. You don't get the high resolution photos. Those stay with the photographer. You're buying low resolution screen quality. So 72 DPI, 100 DPI, things like that. One of the things we're addressing. So Nikes that I shot. I do product photography, and this picture actually kind of went viral within the product community. It was fantastic. I didn't mean it to, but just something I set up. So now I'm doing photo shoots with Skechers and different knife companies, and I've actually had a photo shoot with Walmart and things like that. So non-solutions. People don't care. They want the money. They come in, and you probably see it in your industries too, where people just don't care. They're like, okay, whatever it is, this is what we have, and I don't care about it. And I'm just here, I'm harvesting your money, and that's it. Don't ask questions. For people, I'm seeing it a lot, especially when I work with businesses and brides. It's amazing at how I actually I talk to them about the qualifying questions to get to the solution they need or want, and they've never been asked that stuff before. The full process going through from the qualifying all the way to delivery in the amount of time that you're promising. And the wow factor. How many people in here have a wow factor? that they try to do every time they have a sale? Anybody? Okay. A wow factor. That's one of the things that for years that we've done is just every time there is a client, a customer, anything, it's always, well, what's the wow factor that I do for this person to push it over so that the value goes from here to here? And that's a differentiating factor. So our solutions, prove it. This is a little guy, he was hamming it up the entire wedding. It was fantastic the whole time. So we have an extensive portfolio. We provide hard copies to anybody who wants them. So if anybody needs a C and wants hard copies, so they know if they want to print a billboard, or if they want to put something jumbo on their wall for marketing, or if they have some specifics that they need, we can do that. Real-time data when it comes to social media, and that's coupled with the free trial. So with social media, I don't disclose who I'm working with on social media, ever. That's completely confidential. I don't sign NDAs or anything like that. I just don't tell. It's a matter of, I give you 2 weeks, I manage your stuff, and I prove it on your end. Because what I might be doing for a restaurant probably does not apply to what I'm doing over here for a car lot, because you're talking about apples and oranges. So it's about proving it. Have there been times, twice, where it's just been not good? I mean, where I haven't earned the business. So on my end, it keeps me honest too, like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Where do I need to go with this? I'm not just selling things to sell something so that people, so that I'm making money. But that comes with those two there. The real-time data during those 2 weeks, it's amazing to watch their engagement. Where they were, we can run analytics from where you are to after those 2 weeks, or even after 3, 4, 5 days, depending on what we're doing, based on the images, based on colors, based on the text, based on different words within there. There's so much that goes into the social media that's really down to just kind of the psychology of marketing too that goes into that. So, and finally, I'll go into just some images so you guys don't think I'm blowing smoke here. The bridge, that was right after it was lit last year. After they did the lighting, I think it was 2 days later. That was at 1 o'clock in the morning, and the river was really nice and calm. It was fantastic. This is actually down at Riverview Park, just down from the island. And that was one morning, I think it was 5:30 last year. And that's from Eau Claire Festival this year. One on the left is actually my daughter, but she's 14 now, she doesn't look like that anymore, but